Quote of the day: Love is like a window left open. It lets the breeze of grace sweep in when you least expect it. Let all that you do be done in love. First Corinthians chapter 16 verse 14. That is your quote of the day. Now let's get right into this video. Now this episode of Raw this episode was sorry. This was a sorry episode of Raw. This was so bad. Oh my god, this was boring. Raw this week absolutely sucked. It was cheeks, man. This was such a waste of time. Nothing on this show mattered. Nothing mattered at all. The promos sucked. The matches sucked. The matches were boring. Dude, like, it's literally the same thing we've been seeing for the past couple of weeks. It's just new variations of it. The same matches, different people, same matches. Like, the same tag teams, just break them up. Now it's just one individual versus the other. Like, dude, this is so bad. And I'm just like, every week it's the same thing, and I'm complaining about the same thing, and it's crazy at this point, man. But like, I feel like this week was just even worse. Like, the crowd absolutely tried their best to make this feel special, but like, the crowd showed up, the crowd was chanting, the crowd was into it. They tried their hardest, but even the crowd couldn't save this show, man. Like, this was a sorry episode of Raw. This sucked, man. Like, dude, just skip this. If you haven't watched it yet, just skip this episode of Raw if you haven't watched it yet, man. Because it's not worth it. It's not worth wasting your time on this. This was terrible. Like, man. Like, I've seen some pretty bad episodes of Raw, and this one is up there. Dude, nothing of importance happened. Nothing of meaning happened. Nothing happened. Such a waste of time. And the promos were so bad. And that Rhea Ripley and Roxanne Perez match, oh my God. That Becky Lynch and Nikki Bella promo, oh my Lord, Jesus Christ. Those were terrible. Atrocious. Jesus, man. But let's just get right into this video, okay? Because I don't want this to be too long. So on this week's episode of Raw, we kicked off with a OTC Roman Reigns in-ring promo. And I was just thinking to myself while this was happening, I'm like, isn't Roman Reigns supposed to be on SmackDown? Because last time I saw him, well, not last time I saw him, but the last thing I remembered was that he was a SmackDown superstar. He was holding the Undisputed Championship, for crying out loud. I'm like, isn't he supposed to be on SmackDown? When did he get drafted to Raw? I'm like, I don't know. Am I missing something? Feel free to let me know in the comments, but like, I don't remember Roman Reigns being moved to Raw at all. He just kept showing up, and I guess it's permanent now, But anyhow, I kid you not, it took 15 minutes before Roman Reigns uttered a singular word. Like, doing his entrance, waiting for the crowd to quiet down, dude, it was 15 minutes of just waiting. And I'm like, Jesus Christ. Like, literally, I was looking at the time, 15 minutes of straight nothing before a singular word was uttered. I'm like, dude, this is ridiculous. But anyhow, though, we get into the promo, and Roman Reigns, the OTC, basically gets in the ring, and he says, Birmingham, acknowledge me. And Roman Reigns says, I've got big plans for the foreseeable future, but I have to be honest, I must acknowledge something myself. I'm not the same guy that I used to be, but maybe I can be. But with all that being said, though, Cody Rhodes was right. I lost everything. They took the bloodline away from me. They took my wise man, my titles. They took everything from me. They took so much that they had to find something else to take. My shoes, Bronson Reed. And then after he says that, Paul Heyman and the Tribal Thief ends up coming out, and they interrupt Roman Reigns. And Paul Heyman comes out and he says, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Paul Heyman, and I stand with the Tribal Thief, the holder of the Shula Fala, Bronson Reed. It was 5 years ago today when I became Roman Reigns' wise man. We owned everything for 5 years. We changed everything. We ran everything. But look at you now, Roman. All alone in the ring by yourself. I loved you, and I still love you, my tribal chief, and that's why I'm out here to disrespect you. At Clash in Paris, Bronson Reed is going to beat the respect into you. So this match is set up for Clash in Paris, Roman Reigns versus Bronson Reed. So it's another pointless match that means nothing. I don't know why they're wasting Roman Reigns' time on this, because I'm like, dude, nobody cares about this nonsense, honestly. I don't. But anyhow, it's another pointless match, so whatever. Anyhow, we continue on with the promo segment, and Bronson Reed actually, starts talking. He had some good one-liners in there, He gets on the mic and he says, Roman Reigns, all your tattoos are paid for. Mines were earned. Roman, I'm the Samoan that your dad and uncle warned you about. And after Roman Reigns heard this, he was like, come on, stop playing with me. I'm not going to let y'all disrespect me out here. And then Roman Reigns just started roasting everyone. And Roman Reigns said, Bron, I'll give you a chance to come up here, give me my shoes back, and apologize for wasting everybody's time. And after all that is said and done, we get a huge brawl that breaks out between Roman Reigns and Bronson Reed. And they literally had to be separated by security guards and officials, So that was pretty cool. That was a pretty fun opener. It just took too long to get to the point, Like, this was literally 30 minutes long. 30 minutes long. So, like, this just took too long, okay? But anyhow, after this, we got to our first match of the night, and it was Dragon Lee versus JD McDonough. And I was wondering, I'm like, dude, why are we even seeing this nonsense? No one cares about this feud. If you could even call it a feud, dude. Like, we literally saw half of this match last week. Last week, we literally saw the Judgment Day versus Dragon Lee and Layeska and Mr. Iguana. Like, why are we seeing it again? Like, we literally saw half of this match last week. Just stop wasting your time, WWE. Jesus. But anyhow, we got to this match. This match was completely and utterly pointless. And then Finn Balor ended up getting kicked out from ringside, and we saw a few cool spots throughout this match, but it wasn't anything too memorable. At the very end of the match, though, we got interference from Dirty Dominic Mysterio and AJ Styles. But after all that was said and done, Dragon Lee ended up actually hitting his finisher, the Operation Dragon, on JD McDonald's for the win. And Dragon Lee beats JD McDonald's. Anyhow, after this, we got a backstage segment where LA Knight basically accused CM Punk of sending him crashing through a table on purpose. Last week CM Punk accidentally ran into LA Knight, and LA Knight went face first into a table, So LA Knight basically said, that wasn't an accident. CM Punk did it on purpose. He didn't even care what happened to me after. He saw that happen and he just shrugged it off and turned and got to his business. He did it on purpose for all I care, for all I'm concerned. That's basically what he says. And that was that. After this, we got our second match of the night, and it was Penta versus Kofi Kingston, just cause, like literally just cause. And I'm like, dude, why couldn't they just kill one bird with two stones? If you're giving us pointless matches, just give us Dragon Lee versus Penta. At least that would have been entertaining, and then we wouldn't have had to have two different matches of people that we don't care about, of feuds we don't care about. Just give us Dragon Lee versus Penta, and we would have just called it a day. We didn't need to do the JD McDonald's match or this Kofi Kingston match. Like, come on. Come on, WWE. Respect the people's time. Respect the fans' time, Jesus Christ. And they had a special start time for this nonsense. Started early for this nonsense. 3 p.m. for this nonsense. My time for this nonsense. Jesus. But anyhow, we got Kofi Kingston versus Penta. This match was mid, and like literally the most fun part about this match were Xavier Woods, Grayson Waller, and Corey Graves. Literally, the most entertaining part about this match were people who weren't even involved in the match. Like, imagine that. Like, the highlight of this match for me was literally Xavier Woods, Grayson Waller, aka Big G, and Corey Graves. That was the only fun part, the only funny, entertaining part from this match. Besides that, the match completely by itself was booty. It was nonsense, and it was a waste of time. Nobody cares about it. I'm like, Jesus. But at the end of the match, Kofi Kingston, with the help of Xavier Woods and Grayson Waller, he ended up stealing the win and he pinned Penta. And he was actually celebrating this too, like it was a huge milestone, a huge victory. I'm like, dude, you're acting like you just beat Brock Lesnar or something. This was Penta. You're acting like you just beat Roman Reigns. This was Penta, dude. Come on, have some self-respect. You are a world heavyweight champion. Come on, Kofi, stop doing this nonsense. But anyhow, after this, we got a Rhea Ripley and Io Sky backstage interaction. So Io Sky basically walks up to Rhea Ripley and she thanks Rhea Ripley for having her back last week. And she says, Rhea, thank you for having my back last week, but Kairi Sane and Asuka are my family. They're not happy about you getting involved in our business, so I think it's best if we just keep our distance from each other. But surprise, surprise, while these two women are hugging it out and they decide to go their separate ways, they get caught by Kairi Sane and Asuka hugging, and I'm like, dude, what is this? What is this elementary school story you're trying to tell people? I'm like, and it's like the funniest thing. They're like, oh no, we caught you guys hugging. And then like later on, we got a segment where Asuka was telling Io Sky to stay away from Rhea, and she's basically like, I ban it, you're not allowed to get near her. Stay away from that woman. I'm like, dude, what is this elementary school storyline we're getting? Like two grown women, and you have like, come on, 4 grown women arguing about nothing, and then you have Asuka telling Io Sky to stay away from you. I'm like, she sounds like a parent. Like, stay away from that woman. She's no good for you. Okay, I'm like, come on, WWE. It's fun. It's entertaining, I guess, in its own way. I mean, I don't hate it, but man, it's a waste of time nonetheless. Anyhow, after this, we got a terrible, booty, atrocious, disturbing in-ring promo. Oh my god, it was the Becky Lynch and Nikki Bella in-ring promo. This was hard to listen to and even harder to watch. Oh my god, dude. If I had an option to turn off my ears during this, I would have turned it off, okay? WWE's just lucky that my ears don't have an off button, because dude, this was bad. Oh my god. There was no emotion or passion behind anything these women were saying, dude. Like, nothing. It felt so robotic, like emotionless. It felt like they were just reading off a piece of paper. And Nikki Bella, I don't know what is, but she's gotten so much worse on the mic. She wasn't good before, but now it's glaringly obvious that it's bad. And Becky Lynch, she's unlocked a Hall of Fame yapper badge, dude. Because every time she comes out, she's just yapping about nothing, dude. Hall of Fame yapper right there. She talks about nothing, says the same thing over and over, complains about the same thing, says the same thing, and it's nothing, dude. She just talks about nothing. Like Becky Lynch used to be so good on the mic. She has her moments here and there, but like as of late, it hasn't been that at all, dude. She was just yapping and yapping and talking about nothing, and Nikki Bella came out and just bored everyone to death. And this promo was just so bad. And you have Becky Lynch talking about nothing, Nikki Bella talking about nothing, and it just sounded so bad, and it was so hard to watch, dude. Jesus, this was bad. Anyhow, though, these women just basically insulted each other, and then Nikki Bella basically just challenged Becky Lynch to a one-on-one match for the Intercontinental Championship, and that was that. They brawled for a little bit, and yeah, that was your whole segment. After this, we got a CM Punk backstage interview segment where he basically said that it doesn't matter who's standing in his way, he's going to destroy everyone and get his World Heavyweight Championship back. So no matter who it is, no matter what it is, he's going to step over the obstacle, he's going to beat the person, he's going to destroy them, and he's going to get his World Heavyweight Championship back. After this, we got our third match of the night, and it was Rhea Ripley versus Roxanne Perez. And oh my god, this was bad. This might be one of the most boring Rhea Ripley matches I've ever seen in my life, I've ever watched, I've ever had the displeasure of witnessing. This was bad. This match sucked, and it was so messy, dude. I'm like, it felt so unrehearsed, unrefined. Like the moves were messy, the sequences were messy, the reversals were messy. Dude, it felt like, how can I best describe this? Like, have you ever seen like the commercial for those drunk goggles? Like, they put on the drunk goggles and you can't see them. It felt like both of these women were fighting with drunk goggles on. Because, dude, nothing was coordinated at all. It was so messy. It was so bad, so boring, so sluggish. And some of the sequences felt too long, too drawn out. Other things felt like it took too much time. And then other things, you have Rhea Ripley no selling stuff. I'm like, oh god, this was bad. You had botches here and there. This match was so bad, and like I said, this is probably one of the worst Rhea Ripley matches I've ever had the displeasure of watching. Okay, this sucked. And like, buddy, this match was sorry. Oh god, this was terrible. But anyways, Rhea Ripley ended up hitting a Riptide for the win. She hit a Riptide on Roxanne Perez for the win. Then she ended up getting jumped by Roxanne Perez and Raquel Rodriguez, and Io Sky, in her genius, she decided, after she told Rhea Ripley, stay away from me, we're going to stay away from each other, Io Sky decides to come out and return the favor, and she saves Rhea Ripley. And I'm like, you just told her you're going to stay away from each other. What are you even doing out here at this point? But whatever. After that, we got our fourth match of the night, and it was AJ Styles versus Finn Balor. And this match ended quicker than it even started. No joke. This match was over so fast. Like, the match started, I heard ding, 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 match started, right? And like 2 seconds later, ding, 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 and you're a winner, AJ Styles. I'm like, dude, what even happened? Jesus Christ. This match ended faster than it started. This was funny to me. I'm like, dude, there's no way this was over already. This had the potential to be a banger, but nope. 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 This ended so fast. But anyhow, it was a clean match. However, we had no interferences, no shenanigans, no nothing. AJ Styles just ended up hitting the Styles Clash on Finn Balor and pinned him cleanly, and AJ Styles beat Finn Balor. So now Clash in Paris, we're getting AJ Styles versus Dominic Mysterio once again for the Intercontinental Championship. After this, we got a pretty fun backstage brawl segment where the OTC Roman Reigns snuck attacked the Braun Browns, and that was pretty fun. He showed up and he was like, this means war, so I'm going after everyone, So he just attacked the Braun Browns, and that was that. And then we finally got to our main event. The main event was LA Knight versus Braun Breaker. And it was announced at the beginning of the show. And when it was announced, I already knew we were going to get interferences. And it's going to end the same way that Raw has been ending, with either Seth and Friends standing tall or, Jey Uso's CM Punk and LA Knight standing tall. I'm like, it's either going to end in one of two ways. But either way, there's definitely going to be interference, But anyhow, this match was pretty boring, honestly. LA Knight basically just got manhandled and thrown around for most of this match. So, like, it was boring, in my opinion. Nothing memorable, nothing fun, nothing unique, nothing. We've seen this countless times before. But anyhow, near the end of the match, we ended up getting interference from Seth Rollins, and the interference from Seth Rollins ended up costing LA Knight the match. And, Braun Breaker used the interference and got the advantage, and he speared LA Knight in half, and that's how he pinned him. After the match ended, we got Jey Uso coming out to the aid of LA Knight because LA Knight was getting jumped by Seth Rollins and Braun Breaker. So Jey Uso comes out to the aid of LA Knight, and then Jey Uso gets jumped by both men as well. So they're jumping both LA Knight and Jey Uso, and CM Punk decides to come out to the aid of Jey Uso. And that was that, and they cleared out the Braun Browns and Seth Rollins, and they sent them packing. And after all that is said and done, Seth Rollins is retreating. And these three men, Jey Uso, LA Knight and CM Punk all of a sudden decide they can't stand each other and they just start fighting with each other. They start, throwing super kicks. They start throwing punches. And I'm like, dude, you just came out to save him. Why are you even fighting at this point? But whatever. The only cool part I can say is that Jey Uso seems like he's a little bit more serious because he was like, I've had enough of this. And he super kicked both LA Knight and CM Punk. And he was the last man standing. He was standing tall and he's like, there's no friends out here. We taking this seriously. So, forget both of y'all. Boom, super kick. Boom, super kick. He's like, there's no friends in this game. It's a cold, cold world out here, and you're about to learn the hard way. Super kick, And that was the only fun part to me. And that was that. That's how the show ended, with Jey Uso standing tall. So that was your whole episode of Raw. And like I said, man, this episode was boring. This episode was sorry. This episode was atrocious. This episode was bad. This episode was a waste of time. And respectfully, I'm going to have to rate it a solid 3 out of 10. No higher. 3 out of 10. This was so bad, man. Even Roman Reigns couldn't save this nonsense. Jesus. Nothing on the show mattered. Like I said, this was just a waste of our time. And WWE needs to start respecting the fans' time, because this is getting out of hand. This is getting out of hand, okay? But anyhow, though, that's my breakdown and my review of this week's episode of Raw. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for hearing me out. And thank you for being here. Like, comment, and subscribe if you want to. Like, comment, and subscribe if you'd like to. And like, comment, and subscribe if you choose to. As always, it's been a pleasure, and I'm out.